Hello, good evening. Good and beautiful evening. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me? Can I confirm you can hear me? All right. It's once again. Right. Apologies for the technical or network glitches. Trying to share. Chat box. Iguve, good evening. Stella, Saratu, Amina, Sylvia, Ibukunolua, Gift. A whole lot tonight. Omotayo, Irene, Yemi, Omodasola, Gift Okbara. With me tonight is my co-facilitator, Miss Nancy Baba Ali. It's that time where we kick off tonight, and we have taking a few minutes of our time while trying to resolve the technical uh, network glitch. So let's delve straight to tonight's class. In the chat box, can I confirm what did you learn last time out, the last class? What was striking for you? Were there any challenges? There were things you couldn't hear, things that seemed like new to you. And I think we can kickstart from there tonight and we roll. Okay. Saratu is extending greetings to Miss Nancy. I think she can hear you as well. So she's on the couch with me tonight. So can I confirm what was striking for you in the last class? What did you learn? Yeah, Blessed Many says planned, that's the PV, planned value. Okay. All right. Amodosolo said she learned about project monitoring and control and what we can monitor. She also learned earned value management, which is making decisions using early warning signs based on data. And she says she would also be glad to wait for the recap on the calculation. All right, tonight we're going to have that as well. Dorothy says earned value, planned value, and actual cost. Okay, so performance management or performance of every project, Otoyosi says, must be monitored and controlled. I quite agree with you. So that's cool. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Dorothy. Yeah. EV, PV, and AC. Yeah, sure. Okay, Govi says she learned about planned cost, actual cost, and earned value. Yeah, Ibukunolua is extending her greetings to Miss Nancy. That's cool. That's cool. That's fine. All right. So she's on the call here tonight. So she's in the class. All right. So Ugonna Ubo says that she learned the difference between the key matrices of end value, planned value, and actual cost. So Irene says cost metrics, cost variance, the CV, the CPI. We also have schedule variance. We had SPI as well, schedule performance index. Okay. All right. So let me take Sarah to Sylvia. It says they learned the difference between monitoring and control of projects. Okay, how to calculate them, the cost, the schedule, all the matrices, and all that. Okay, while Sylvia says, well, she doesn't really understand it fully quite yet, but she understands that monitoring and control starts immediately the project begins. So, okay, all right, thank you, Bumi, as well. So let's delve tonight quickly and have our recap. So we're going to take a quick recap tonight. Okay, so we talked about project monitoring and control. And when you talk about monitoring, okay, monitoring has to do with that routine or observation, recording, reporting. It has to do with you gathering information. Okay, you're taking a controlled routine, step by step. You're watching out for every phase of this project. You want to check on how the project activities are actually progressing or digressing. You also want to give feedback about the progress of the project to either the donors, the sponsors, the different stakeholders, and that particular project. Remember, every project should be treated as a single entity. Okay, so regardless of what you are involved, we are not really. There's so many examples. Okay, either you are managing an IDP project, or you are actually delivering services, like you are procuring, um, let's say, maybe air conditioners for a government parastatal or an NGO, or you're baking, or you're into a road construction project. Irrespective of what particular project you're involved in, the essence is this: do not fail to treat that project as an entity in itself. Okay. All right. Can I confirm? Can you see my slides? If you can see my slides, just confirm, please. Can I confirm you can see my slides? Please, can you confirm that you can see my slides? I need to be sure that the slides are running. Okay, all right, thank you. So we are actually talking about project monitoring and control. We're just having a recap, okay? So I was talking about um, why monitoring. We need to monitor to check on project progress. Is it progressing? Is it digressing? Okay? Is it moving as planned, or it's not? And then why do we need to control? We need to be sure that um, whatever we are having on the project is actually on point, on plan, and we we don't want to have backlogs. Okay, but what if there are backlogs? What if there are issues accounted in the project you need to control? Okay, so in the last class I can recall, one of the participants did mention that in the course of the previous week, she had some issues with the cake she worked on, and it wasn't funny. Shoma also corroborated same, yeah, by saying that yes, some of the times it's difficult having to control, because it's not every project that you can do damage control. Some The damage can even be more than whatever we have encountered. So it's very key to understand that um, projects must be treated accordingly. You must go through step by step. Okay. All right. So, having talked about monitoring and control, we said that we can monitor time. We can monitor input, what comes into the project, and what the project gives out. Okay. So we can monitor several things like time, money, okay, resources, materials that are being used on the project. We can also monitor the tasks and the activities, and then the quality or the technical expertise that is being brought on board that particular project. So, what will the project give out? Progress. So, we can monitor progress. Okay. We can monitor cost. We can monitor when the job starts and when it ends as well. Okay. We can also monitor changes that occur in the project. Okay. And then we can see if there are variations that we need to also control. After that, we talked about that the work that needs to be done on the project can happen at different times. So there are resources that are needed at the end of the project. There are resources that occur continuously, regularly, logically. There are also tasks that need to start as soon as possible. Okay, so each phase of the project requires what we call pre-planned decision points. So every step, at every time, you need to pause to take a decision about what exactly the project is experiencing at that particular point in time. So we are taking decision points. So sometimes it's better to take pre-planned decision points, planned decision points, and also there are also what we call post decision points, sometimes maybe for sustainability of the project. Okay, so I need to confirm, are we together tonight? I guess the network is really playing a fast one on the class tonight. If you can hear me and you are with me on this call in the class, can I confirm you can hear me? Okay, Goofy says yes. Thank you. So we are moving forward. So we're having our recap. Okay. All right. So we talked about control. Okay. And we mentioned three key things that we need to control: one, time; number two, cost; and number three, performance. Okay. So time, of course, every project has a timeline. Every project has so project progress, or let's say it's a function of the timeline. Okay, so different um, team members are assigned roles and responsibilities on the project, and they have duration. Okay, every project is tied to a cost or costs, let's say that. So, and the project must also be tied to performance. Okay, so we also mentioned that in the last class that you need to report the status of the project progress. You need to also review the project with different stakeholders at different points in time in the project. Okay, and there's also need to control what we call schedule variances. So the progress that you make in the project at different phases, at intervals of time, there is need to be sure if the project is on point, if the project is behind schedule, if the project is having any issues here and there. So understand also that we need to control the scope and the change request, and then the budget. Aside that, we need to also understand that you need to track and mitigate risk that occur in a project. And then we delved straight into the issue of the hour, which was earned value management. Talk about earned value management. Why earned value management? I guess tonight's network is not really assisting some of us in the class. Okay, just try to refresh your browser and I'm sure it will come through. Okay, yeah. So why earned value management? So earned value management is important because every project, regardless, is in for profit. Okay, but there's something each project you embark on brings to the fore. Okay, so it's very important to capture those moments. Okay, whatever it is. So we're saying that end value management involves making project decisions utilizing or by utilizing the early warning signs based on data, variances, and the trends. So you can agree with me that, like I did give an example or an illustration in the previous class, that when you're baking for um, let's say 500 pieces of meat pie or chicken pie or donuts, whatever it is, okay, snacks generally, okay, and there is need for you to make use of flour, okay. The first thing that comes to mind is you need to check what is the texture or the quality of the flour that is needed for this particular task, okay. I also did give an example that rice, for example, you're preparing party jollof, and you need to check the quality of the rice. The quality of the rice matters, because there are these set of rice that you package after 15 minutes, the heat and the packaging doesn't go very well. Okay, so you begin to have what we call the rice gets clogged, okay, or it soaks in more water. And by the time it's ready, time to eat, refreshment time, or item 7, you discover that the once standing alone rice becomes like, would I say, something that is now clogged, now like packed. You can't even segregate the rice. You can't see them in as individual, as standalone. You now see them as like porridge. Okay, so uh, it's just like that. So it's very important that we understand what we are dealing with, what you're using, what you're bringing on board. Okay. Wow. Okay. Yes. I don't know, but please try to refresh your browser. I don't know what exactly it is. Yeah, on the chat box, I can see that it's saying that the slides are not changing, or they're not moving from one slide to another. Okay, but we're still doing our recap regardless. Okay, so we did mention that every project has its challenges. Okay, it's either issues. Yeah, it's like every project has its challenges. Whatever the challenge is, could be we are either ahead or behind schedule. Okay. It's either that the time that was estimated for each particular task has elapsed, and it's eaten into another task. It could also be that the level of effort that is being put into that project is not really commensurate enough, okay, to bring the project where it is. Okay. All right. Um, so when you come to understand that every project has its issues, then we now ask ourselves, why now do we need earned value management? Earned value management gives us early warning signs, okay? Like the floor, before use or before purchase, you have a feel that this is going to, like, it's going to spoil your day. It's going to make for bad recommendation, okay? Why not? I can change it now that there's still time, okay? So it gives you an idea of what measures of progress you need to bring on board every task. Okay, it gives you also an idea on how to consolidate the progress of different tasks that are embedded into a particular um, project. Okay, so it gives you that leverage to understand that If there are options for uh, you as a project manager to apply changes early enough, it gives you opportunity to do that. Okay, like incidences of collapsed buildings, sometimes there's opportunity to have quality control, make use of standard materials, not substandard materials. So when the building collapses, I'm sure everybody go back to not even zero. You go to negative before you get back to zero and start from square one again. So it gives that leverage to understand what exactly you need to do on the project before things go wrong. And those are really the things we're looking at in end value management. And then we went on to talk about planned value, actual cost, and earned value. So we said that planned value is actually that planned cost for a total amount of work that has been scheduled to be performed by a particular date or time. So how much was planned to have been accomplished at a given point in time? I can recall that I did use an IDP camp as an example, taking palliatives to a particular IDP camp in a specified location, like say Lagos, Port Harcourt, Libya, wherever. But how much was planned? What is the plan value? Let's say maybe a million naira, okay? And then what is the actual cost? How much was spent on the project, okay? How much was spent, okay? How much did you spend on the project? Okay, so all right. So after the recap, please, we would have a short break to see if we can um, refresh all the slides to accommodate those who say they can't see the slides and all that. Okay. So Oluwatobi is also talking about the jollof rice porridge. Okay. Yeah, Sarah, you will. You definitely have the materials. Okay. So we're talking about in earned value. I decided to bring in key matrices of planned value where you are budgeting. This is how much we are budgeting. Okay. 1 million naira. How much is the actual cost? 800,000 when we went to the IDP camp with our palliatives. And then what is exactly the earned value? Okay. So the earned value is actually the amount of the budget that should have been spent for a given amount of work completed. Let's say in terms of the budget, what has been accomplished at a given point in time. So what exactly was accomplished? We were able to do XYZ. That's the expected outcome. Okay, so sometimes it's not in cash. Okay, it's in value. Either that the persons that were involved did their work so well, okay, or at the end of the day, we had 200,000 naira extra to spare on that particular project. So everybody is happy. Oh, we did a very great job. We are happy. There's no issues. And we go home smiling. So, and then we talked about estimate at completion. Okay. Um, what is the total project expected to cost? That is the estimate at completion. Okay. Now we talk about what is the expected to complete the project. That is the estimate to complete it. So there's difference between estimate and we estimated this that at when we finish this project, this is what exactly we estimated. Okay. So now what did you estimate to complete it? So we have the then we now have variance at completion, which is the budget at completion, okay, and the less the estimate at completion. Okay, so when you look at what was the project supposed to cost, okay, that is your budget at completion. That's your budget. You also have an estimate, okay. So let's say by and large we estimated 500,000, but the budget we set for that particular project is maybe, let's still say 1 million. Okay, so because you've already planned that this is exactly how much was going to be spent. Okay, so these are, we need to understand it. Variance. What is variance? The difference, okay, between what the total project was to cost. Okay, that's the total project expectation in terms of cost, and the supposed costs of the project. So these are different things that you need to understand. Okay, and then we looked at the diagram, a diagram that really specified or talked about today and the future, looking at the actual costs, what has actually been spent to this particular point where you are preparing this evaluation. Okay, then the planned value, what the plan called for on the task planned to be completed by date. So what exactly you have budgeted, the planned budget. And then you talk about the earned value, which is maybe the value of the cost of what has been accomplished to date based on the base plan. Okay, so you know exactly from the moment you kick off your project how much you're going to estimate. You know, sometimes there are projects like let's say you're preparing moi moi, this moi moi, like bean in the bean cake form, not akara. So your moi moi, you're asked, okay, you have to prepare 500 uh maybe plates of moi moi. Okay, plus or minus, how much is it going to cost? So you are running an estimate. How much plus or minus it will cost, maybe 250 per plate or 300 per plate. Okay, so but if you are to give us an estimate, if you're not to give us your quotation, what exactly would it be like? So, you know, of course, you're not going to just do an estimate and say, based on estimation. You have to now do a reality check. You need to put other things, you need to factor other things in place. The plate itself, the packaging, and then your transportation, okay? And all those things need to come together. So when you put these things together, it gives you your planned value, okay? And then you now know your actual cost. At the end of the day, what was the end value? All right. So we've said so much about, and then we talked about costs. Yes, costs and cost schedule, whether it's positive or negative. Okay, cost variance. Are you when the actual, the difference between the actual and the planned, you know whether you're over budgeting, or are you under budgeting, or are you under schedule, behind schedule? Are you over budgeting? How much was supposed to be spent on task A? Task A maybe 200,000 naira. Task B 300,000 naira, but you end up spending 100,000. So you are still ahead of your schedule. You're okay. But when you have, for example, maybe 200,000 and you spend 300,000, so you know that there's 100,000 already above board that you have spent. So you've spent. Or when you say you are on schedule, the task is going as planned. But when you are behind schedule, the task have not been accomplished as at when it's supposed to be accomplished. So you need to know that variance, that time difference, that variance between in between what you're doing at that time. You need to also understand it. So we talked about cost variance, and which I just explained, that it is actually the difference between knowing when you've over budgeting or you are behind schedule. So you don't need to be on a negative value or on a positive value. You just need to be on zero. That is to say, you did not underspend, you did not overspend. So it is according to your plan, according to your budget. You're on point. So you need to watch it. Okay. That's why monitoring is very, very important. And when you discover that at one point in time or the other, you have overspent, you need to control. What are those things? Where are those areas I have overspent? What happened? Maybe the persons and the team members would say, or the person who is in charge of a particular responsibility would say, oh, there was increase, there was inflation, okay, or the transportation, there was the cost of transportation increased, and it has affected what we're doing. So I think so. Those are areas that need to be checked. Okay. All right. Can I confirm you can hear me clearly? If you can, I need to be sure that you can hear me clearly. And then can you see the slides now? Are they okay? Are they cool for you? What exactly? Where are we? All right. So we're taking some time to do a recap so that everybody becomes clear enough on this. So when you talk about cost, you talk about budget. When you talk about schedule, you're talking about progress. Okay, so understand it. Cost variance is the difference in cost, whether you are under budgeting or over budgeting. While schedule variance is the difference in progress. Are you making adequate progress, or the progress is such that you are behind schedule? So that is what we're talking about: cost variance and schedule variance. Okay. All right. So we talked about minimum funds as well. Okay, that amount of funds that you plow into the project to ensure that things do not get worse. Okay, and then we talk about funds that are needed. So the terminology here is that funds needed are those funds that are provided for your project when things continue to get worse at the same level of slippage. So you can't control it at that time. You need to plow in additional resources. I can recall in the last class, one of the participants did mention or ask that what happens, who controls cost? Like, for example, if there's increase, how do we attack it? How do we address it? Sometimes you have to go back to the project sponsor, but if the issue is caused by the project manager, unfortunately, I'm sure the project sponsor may not wish to provide additional funds. So, like you can see on the slides, you need to be on zero schedule variance and zero cost variance to ensure that your project is on schedule and also on budget. When it is positive, it means you're a bit ahead of the project. So, and or if the you're on a positive uh, cost variance, it means that the project is also on the budget. If you're on negative variance, that means you have overshoot your budget. You need to redress or retrace your step. So some of the things we need to note in variance analysis is that it gives us an idea to understand what exactly is the problem. What is the problem that is causing the variance? What is the impact that over budgeting or under budgeting or being behind schedule is having on other efforts in the project? Are there corrective actions that are already in place or that would need to be put in place? Now we're talking about corrective. You're talking about control. So what impact has it on the time, the cost, and the performance? And as well, what are the expected results of the corrective action that is now you're trying to control? So that is the essence of having or being partaking in variance analysis. So variance analysis gives you, the project manager, an idea of, come on, I think we are over budgeting. We need to watch our costs. We need to watch the resources. We need to retrace the effort that is being put on this particular task. in relation to other tasks on the project. So it gives you an idea. Okay, so what determines variance? What exactly determines variance? Okay, wow. The slides are not moving. Okay, I think we can. All right, let's just listen. Okay, when we go for the break, okay, the attendance break, we will try to see how we can best resolve the issues affecting the um, the movement of the slides. Okay, so just bear with us. Okay, all right. So there are those that are some of us as say, yeah, there are those who can see the slides, but well, all right. So we'll try to address that. Okay. So why variance? Variance is important. It gives you an idea where exactly are you on your project. It gives you an idea how best to take necessary next steps. Okay, when you see these warning signs, what are the next steps? What if you could not control the early warning signs and you're already embarking on uh, damage control? What do we need to do at that point in time? Do we need to retrace our steps or take corrective actions and things like that? So it gives us an opportunity to reflect on that. So we can estimate, you can look at the life cycle of the project phase by phase. You can also decide to look at the length of the project. What is the accuracy of your estimate? Okay, so these are some of the ideas that variance depends on. Okay, so uh I understand the network isn't really not giving us all that we need. Okay, and then there's what we call management reserve. Okay, sometimes you would hear maybe there was a time in the Senate something like padding of projects. Why do we talk about padding? Okay, padding does not depend on the project manager. Okay, it's like a cushion. So it is added to a project for to manage unexpected costs that are within the project scope. Let's say the budget was 1 million naira and the project sponsor decide to provide 1.2 million. That 200,000 naira extra is to cater for any incontingencies. Sometimes you say miscellaneous. Sometimes you hear people say contingencies. Okay, so it is at the reserve of the management. So it doesn't give you room to like play with the two. Oh yes, we have an extra 200,000, so there is room for mismanagement. No, it's also not part of the estimate that you have made. So you're working with your 1 million naira. Cool. So the 200,000 that is provided as an extra is just a cushion. Okay, sometimes we have that in projects. Okay, so that tomorrow you don't run back to uh the the project sponsor and say, um so it's very important. You need to understand. So when there is a leverage for that padding, we call it management reserve. Okay, so you can call it padding, but that is, I think that's a common language. Okay, so it's not at the reserve of the project manager to request for it. The project sponsor provides for that allowance to provide for it. And it's not because it is provided, then the project manager has to now bank on it. After all, there is 200,000 naira to fall back to. No, you just don't have the leverage to fall back to it. It's only used in exceptional circumstances. Okay, so you don't add it to your estimate. You don't add it to what have been provided. Okay, so it's just there. Okay, so I think we're getting somewhere. You're getting some understanding of how it works. So That is actually all we have to look at when we talk about end management. Okay, so I think I would also share this case study maybe after the when we return from the break. Okay, but let me just say here, there is a project. Just you can just listen if you can, but if you can see the slides, wonderful. Okay, so we have a project, $40,000. Okay, for 4 months, and you have 20 tasks for this particular project, which is divided, spread for the 4 months. Okay, so you are having 5 tasks per month at $2,000 per task. So you now understand that the planned value is that, you definitely multiply $2,000 by 5 tasks, which is 10,000 naira, $10,000 each month for 4 months, which is $40,000. So your planned value is $10,000 per month. Okay, you only have the preserve of 5 tasks per month. Okay, so every month, every month, the actual cost, instead of, your planned value is $10,000, but you're spending $8,000, so you still have a cushion of $2,000. Okay, so in the first month you completed 3 tasks instead of 5 tasks. Okay, so which is about $8,000 as against the $6,000. So you only completed 3 tasks. So what is the end value which you have? So you were only able to provide three three tasks, okay, for that purpose. So we're going to draw. So I think, well, tonight's network is not really helping. Oh, Ayomiku. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so let's take a break and then see how we can resolve some of the issues we're encountering tonight with the network glitches. And I hope that when we return after the break, we will have a better. Oh, Blessing Many says I should use Naira, 40,000 Naira. Okay. All right, Iniobong Samuel, I guess the community manager would attend to this. Okay. All right, Blessing Many, don't worry. When we return after the break, we will take that case study, okay, in Naira, not dollars. Okay. All right, so let's take a short break. All right, we'll be back after that. Okay. second half of the class. Yeah, hello, welcome back. Can I confirm if we are back for the second half of the class? If you are back, please can you confirm the chat box? Can you type yes, I'm back in the chat box? Welcome back, Linda. All right, so we move ahead. Can I confirm that you can see the slides now? Can you see the slides, please? Can you see the slides, please? Can I confirm that you can see the slides now? Great, 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 great. Chinayabu Mio from Cynthia Lighton. So everyone can see the slides now. I think we are. So let's take a case study. All that we have been talking about. Now, take a look at the screen. The case study. Okay. Blessing Many says we should use Naira. Okay. It's like this dollar is big. So let's use Naira. 40,000 Naira. Okay. So just call it any project. Have one project in your mind. Okay. Whatever project it is, just name it any project. You have 4 months to deliver the project and you're giving 40,000 Naira. Okay. In between, you have 20 tasks. So however it is, you have 20 tasks to perform. Now you decided to break those 20 tasks into, of course, 4 months. So you have 5 tasks per month at 2,000 Naira per task. Okay. So someone may decide to run all the task. Okay. Howbeit you want to perform, you know. So now, I don't want to explain the slide. Let's go to the next slide and you would see clearly what we are talking about all the while. Now, we are now going to compare planned value, actual cost, and then earned value. Okay, so you can see that in a particular month, you can decide to have that 1 month window. You have 5 tasks in a month, okay, at 10,000 Naira. Okay, someone else can decide to have that's your planned value. Okay, worst case scenario, you have 5 tasks to perform every month. Now, your expected value, which is the budgeted cost of the work as planned. Okay, he decided to perform 3 tasks. Of course, um, those 3 tasks is 6,000 Naira. So we still had 4,000 Naira task undone. Okay, so the variance here, like we talked about um, in the class, is 4,000 Naira, simply because you're not able to perform that particular task and it's still there. Okay, then what is your actual cost? Someone decides to perform 4 tasks at 8,000 Naira, still had 2,000. So the actual cost variance here is 2,000 Naira. Okay, So I think these are just what we are trying to explain: planned value, earned value, and actual value. Okay. I can also remember saying something about budgeted cost of work scheduled, budgeted cost of work performed or planned, so actual cost of work performed. So these are just the terminologies. So there is really um, there's nothing much, not much meaning to extra meaning to add to it. It's just to buttress understanding. Okay, so don't sometimes when we talk about the task, when you look at calculations, sometimes don't let it get all bogged up in your head. Okay, see what you can pick from it, and if you don't understand it, then we can just talk about it clearly. Okay, so I think that brings us to the quote here by Thomas Edison. He says that the three great essentials to achieve anything worthwhile are: first, you need hard work; number two, you need to stick to plan. That is itiveness, okay? You need to stick to a plan. And number three, you need to use your common sense. That's your creativity, creative thinking skills. Okay, nobody will tell you. There are certain things you don't need, they're not rocket science. You just need to think out of the box and come up with a plan and a solution. So that's the essence of monitoring and control. Okay, so at the end of the day, every project must have an end value. What are you bringing on board at the end? So these calculations are just to buttress your learning experience and give you some idea about how to go about budgeting. And when you encounter issues with progress or costs, it gives you a guide on how to, work around it. That is the essence of this particular class. So for tonight's class, we are moving over to performance measurement. Why do we need to measure performance? Okay, so before we do that, how was earned value management to you? On a scale of 10, what's your understanding? 0, where you don't understand anything; 5, average; and 10, excellent. So rate yourself. What how was the understanding to you? Were you able to pick something? Of course, I don't expect you to pick everything, but when you go back, you take a step backward, you watch the slides again, I'm sure you'll really get something. So let's go to the chat box. What's your experience so far? Earned value management. 0, I don't understand anything. 5, I think I'm average. Inyobong says 4. She's yet to pick much. I think you'll definitely tell me why. Okay, so you can just say in the chat box, Justina's end. Adetola says 5. Esther says 5. Yes, of course. Yeah, 5. Simply because it's a process. Okay? It's a process of understanding. Sometimes experience doesn't make sense until it's applied. Okay? Until you apply this knowledge, you may not really understand it. Or until it stares you at the face that there is something comes up, and all of a sudden, wow, this is, oh, really? I'm sure we encounter actual cost every time. Okay, you encounter actual cost and planned costs almost every now and even the earned value. It's just that the name, what it is called, is what you really cannot, you can't really fit it in. Egofe says she's lost. Don't worry, you'll get back to it. See, these things are things you're already familiar with. It's just the name, it's just the nomenclature, it's just let's say these are the vocabularies. Oh, don't be lost. In earned value management, in the class so far, what is your level of understanding? 0, no, I don't understand anything. 5, average. And 10, wow, I really got it right. So don't worry. Sylvia, please don't get lost, okay? So the numbering is just rate yourself where you are exactly on the class, okay? Okay. All right, I'm sure you'll be back soon. Okay. So we will move over to the next slide. Okay. So all right, so the next slide is on performance management. So just a moment while we'll move on to performance management. Okay. All right. So why performance measurement or performance management? You would agree with me that every organization is in business for profit. Some may say not profits totally, but I can tell you for free that every business wants to be in business to record some measure of success. Okay, so it tells us what exactly we are doing with our products or services or the processes that actually produce these products and services. What our organizations or businesses do or whatever somewhere should be able to rate your business or your project. Okay. So after building a home, one can confidently say, I think this is wonderful. So there must be feedback. That feedback that records your performance is what we're actually talking about. So there must be some measure of performance management. Okay. Thank you, Idima Oha. It's just similar to cost benefit analysis. So, what exactly, at the end of the day, what did I learn? So, there must be lessons learned. Okay. So, yeah, sure. So, we'll get there. Like I said, this class is not for you to pick everything immediately. It will come in handy it's a process. Okay. So, it's working process. So let's move on with the class on performance management. That is exactly what we are in for tonight. Okay, performance. It tells us what exactly we are doing to what we are doing. Okay, so if you are supplying crates of eggs and out of 24, 10 are bad. I mean, conspicuously bad. By the time you deliver each time, 10 eggs, 8 eggs, let's say 8 to 10 eggs are bad. I'm sure whoever is going to give feedback will definitely not give you a very good feedback. But if it is 1 or none, or 2 or none, they can actually say, yes, I think it's expected. Sometimes it can happen. So there must be a measure to quantitate a particular project. So it tells us how well we are doing. It shows clearly if we are meeting our goals. It also tells us at the snip of our fingers, at tip of our fingers, that our customers satisfied. It also shows if the processes we employed in our project has some measure of statistical control. And then, of course, if and where improvements are necessary. So feedbacks are key to tell if really we are doing well or not. So that's why, in a nutshell, there is need for performance measurement. Some people say performance evaluation, some say performance measurement, some do say performance management. So we need to understand what it is. So it helps us to measure the overall system. Okay, is a system conforming to what we are doing, or is a system against what you're doing? It shows also that the process you are employing in your project, is it actually optimized such that it is increasing efficiency and effectiveness? Or do the actions we take or employ in our project management skills, do they allow for expansion and improvement? So these are why performance measurements are important. Very key. If you understand that your performance would be rated, just like we rated our knowledge level on earned value management, it's also going to tell us that people are watching. All stakeholders in that project are watching. So they want to know whether you're doing well or not. Okay? So sometimes you can quantify um, performance or measure performance in terms of maybe number or units. It gives you a number of like what has been done. What is the level of work that has been done? Remember, we talked about the Gantt chart. Okay? Using agile methodology or any other methodology you wish to use. So your charts would also tell if you are actually progressing, as at when you need to progress, or is the progress behind schedule, or how much are we spending or have we spent? So it determines a whole lot. So if it's not measuring it in terms of what, it is measuring it in terms of cost, how much it brings to the system. So that is exactly what we are looking at tonight. So there are some elements of performance management in terms of the objectives, in terms of the typical measurement, in terms of criteria, in terms of characteristics. So there are ways to actually judge or rate performance measurement. All right. I hope we are together. Yes, tonight is another class where to know. Yes, you want to know. Esther says you just for us to know the progress of the overall project. So that is why it's important. I really empathize with um, the class because I think there are a lot of us that are having this network glitch or thereabout. So it's very important that we understand that performance must be rated. Okay. So in terms of objective, we want to see what exactly, when you talk about objectives, you are given a baseline. Okay. So it is based on the baseline that you want to improve upon what you need to do. So objective help to set, you now know the gains. It helps you to know the losses. It helps you to compare the goals that you've set, the milestones that you've set with the actual performance of on the project. It also provides information for individual and team evaluation. And also, it guides you to know, are you managing the project by the facts on ground, or you're just doing it by emotions? So your emotions are really, you don't really need to bring emotions into performance simply because you like is a likable person. You just want to rate the person that is doing well. So you need to rate the project based on the performance, project performance. What has been done, not what will be done. Sometimes you need to put sentiments aside. We've said that about in project management, that you don't work with sentiments. Okay, you work with facts. You want to give the best on the project. So by objectives, you look at, by XYZ day or time, was this milestone met? By who? So you need to actually to be able to say, yes, this person have met project milestone at this particular. So if there are 4 milestones, did he meet the first milestone as at when due, or were there delays? Did they over budget? Did they under budget? Were they right on schedule or behind schedule? So these are things. This particular criteria help to provide this element of performance. So you look at project performance on the objective side of things. Okay. Then number 2, you look at it based on what should be measured. So you need to ask, what exactly are we measuring? In terms of human resources, are they on point? In terms of customers, are we having the right customers? Are we target customers? Are they who we're supposed to target? So in terms of production, are we producing the way it ought to be or not? In areas where you are involved in a project where you need to do either feasibility studies, or if there are you're dealing with clients that like are suppliers, okay, are we actually working with them? So these are what the typical element is looking at. Is looking at critically the human resources. It's looking at the customers. It's looking at, okay, it's looking at suppliers. It's looking at the market in terms of administration. Okay, who is doing what? Are they on point? Are they right on track? So these are things that it concerns itself with. Then it looks at criteria. All business organizations have some measurements in place that cannot be adopted. Okay, so what measures should be adopted? Are the measures simple? Are they few in number? Are they developed by users? Is it relevant to the customers? Are there areas for improvement? In terms of cost, are we doing what ought to be done with our cost? What is the budget like? Is this visible? So whatever the project is about, is the project simple enough? Is it dealing with the people it's dealing with, the teams? Are they few in number? So these are criteria. So there must be some measurement, okay, that you can adopt. Like when we talk about checklists. So the checklist is like a criteria. Without this checklist, we cannot go forward. So you need to set this criteria and put it in place. And then we talk about characteristics. So in under characteristics, one of these or each of these 7 characteristics come to mind. Number 1, we talk about quantity, which is actually the most common measure, which refer to how many you're in the production, like maybe you're in the services and product sector. Okay, how many are you dealing with? What are you supplying? How many units of a particular product are you supplying or are you producing? Okay, how much? What's the amount of resources in terms of cost that are required to produce a given output? What time is needed? What is the timeline? What are the accuracy? So are there things you need to conform with while you are rendering this particular service? Or are there things you don't need to conform with? Then in terms of function, how accountable, what quality, what standard, what policies, what procedures, what structure have you put in place to see that that business or that product or that project succeeds? And then we talk about aesthetics. What is the feel of that particular project? How do is it good? Is it bad? Is it something Is it likable? Is it something that people want to? So, why do we need performance measures? Why? Why is it important? Why is performance measure? So, what we are talking about tonight is generally in performance measurement. You want to know the progress. How are you faring with this project? What will be the feedback at the end of this project or in between tasks that are given? So you need to know. It gives you an idea. We want to understand if there are variations in your project. Are there areas that are suffering in this project? So if there are areas that are suffering, how do you address them? It helps you to assess how well your project is doing. If there are areas for improvement, it gives you an idea where to improve. Okay? So for you to improve, you need to identify where you have made mistakes or where there are issues to address them. And it also helps the project sponsor to understand, are we actually meeting our targets for this project? So these are why we need performance management. Okay, so let's go to the chat box where we are. What exactly are the issues you're having? Let's talk about your project. Okay. Um, have you been rated so far in terms of performance? What are people saying about what you're doing, the project that you are embarking on? What are people saying? What are stakeholders saying? What are the project sponsors saying? So I think that would give us a guide to know what it brings the picture home. Afraid learn from one. Yeah, if you can hear me, I don't know, but I guess the network is really not so friendly tonight um, across different networks. So, what are people saying? What are stakeholders saying with your project? Oh, I need to be sure that you can hear me. Can I confirm that you can hear me loud and clear? All right, so let's discuss. In terms of performance measurement, what are project stakeholders that you're working with? What are they saying as regards your project? Good reviews, average reviews, poor reviews, you're not doing well as a project manager. What could be the issues? So I will just take a few moments to, I think I can chat on the chat box for those who are saying that they can hear very clearly. Okay, so in your book, Samuel says that in some organizations, HR do actually perform that performance review, and there are some yardsticks, some metrics that are used to assess themselves and others. Yes, yes, even without your knowledge. So you may not even get to see what exactly your rating was. So they actually keep that to themselves for evaluation purposes. Okay. No. So we need to understand that what is that project you are involved in your little corner? What are you doing? It may not even be really just the secular work that you're doing. There may be some other projects that you're involved in. And also, yeah, you can relate. It's relative. So whatever you're doing, okay. Yes, JJ says in the organization, possibly I think like where she works, I guess, or something. We call them internal stakeholders like the director, the HR, and the other staff. So bringing on board what you have been doing so far, um, do you think how have you been rated? Do you think that so far from the feelers, have you been rated well, or there are things you're not doing so well and you think that you need to really improve? So these are the essence of um, performance management and measurement. Okay, so there are a lot of different matrices that are used and are employed. Okay, so what if, for example, you are the project manager, and sometimes there's need to leave a room for what we call feedback, so that because your feedback goes with lessons learned and what we call um, recommendations for um, going forward, what you need to do. Okay. So Kemi says for her project that they are behind schedule. Our builder keeps dragging us back. He gave 6 weeks for completion. This is the 10th week and we are still on it. I don't know where I got it wrong as a project manager. Kemi, I think um, you need to review. Okay, review the objective. Okay, goal, activities. Okay, activities and the work plan. To an extent, to an extent, to see where it all went wrong. You know, when a builder keeps dragging, it's like 6 weeks to complete, and this is it. At every week, he comes to site. In fact, you will call the builder. Where are you? Does he really come to site? Does he do the work as at when due? Because these are things. These are things that, when you look at it, you tick. That's why you see some of these things we are doing here. We're not doing it because We're just saying it, we're not saying it for fun. Each week on the scoreboard, the scorecard for each team, each team, or whoever is playing whatever role, okay, or task, needs to be checked. 10 weeks and estimated completion time is 6 weeks. So who makes up for the 4 weeks? So these are issues. So it's really going to affect your performance. They may even see you like this PM is, this project manager is unserious. Okay. So Inyobong says she was commended verbally today. She praised that this recommendation results in higher incentives like salary, etc., and etc. Yeah, well, there are a whole lot of things that come to mind. So, like we said, we have different aspects of commendation. Okay, but I would say, don't see it like something would happen. But if it does, then cool. Okay, so for my project, Ogulo says, I am overwhelmed by a lot of monitoring and control I need to do for various study sites. How can I manage my time as a project manager? Schedule. You need to have a schedule. Work breakdown structure. Okay, so Okolua, you can just do like you can say, okay, 1 hour for this, then you close the chapter and go to another 1 hour. Except task A depends on B, or in project management there's what we call dependencies. So if task A doesn't finish, task B will not commence. So if they work concurrently and not dependent, so dependent on each other, then you have to work it. And a bit of diligence, okay? So yeah. Okay, so you can bring your questions. If you have questions tonight, I think we can still take a little more. Mm, yeah. Okay. Um, can you recommend any time management tracking app? It's easy to plan your time, but keeping to it is a whole lot. So it calls for diligence. We have Asana, we have Trello. Um, yeah, they can help. Many says, Sir Kingsley, you sound exhausted. I think I'm being empathetic. Okay, like there are a whole lot of the participants that are really not flowing tonight because of the network glitches. Oh, many. Okay, all right. I get you. But I think you are quite exhausted more than me. So it's been a long day, and yes, we need that rest. Okay. So, but I'm just trying to like I'm just being empathetic. Okay. So, okay. So our next class would be on change management. Okay. So how to handle change requests, you know. So sometimes you start a project and for one reason or the other, you need to make a change. Okay. So how do you go about the changes? Okay. So I think that's what we're gonna learn in the next class. Okay. Right. So yeah, if you still have questions, I think maybe just in the next 2 or 3 minutes, I think we can call it a day. Okay. So that blessing many can rest. Okay. I know a lot of we're all exhausted. It's been a hard day. Okay. Don't worry. The next class would be less exhausting. So it's going to be just a relaxed class where we can all have to contribute, share ideas, and it's going to be a whole, going to be, yeah, quite cool. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tonight. And okay. Okay. So I think we can call it a day tonight. Okay. Yes. I'm just seeing so many. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. You can imagine. Kemi says that. Thank you, sir. The issue was the builder preferred to work with his own schedule since its construction, and they keep making mistakes that keeps taking us back. Quality, quality management. Uh, I was going to ask many, where is Chioma? Not seeing Chioma. Thanks. I really appreciate every one of us tonight. I know the network has not been very friendly, but I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has made tonight's class very possible. Okay. Aha, Oluwatobi, thank you. Yeah. Clockify, yeah, I can recall, I can relate as well. So, the whole lot, whatever works for you, it's fine. Yeah. Okay, so can we call it a night? Right, on behalf of myself and Nancy Baba Ali, I want to wish every one of us a restful night. It's been a whole long day. So take some time out, rest. Let's come back here Friday and have a more relaxed class to talk about change management. It's me, Kingsley, signing out on behalf of Ladies in Tech Africa Bootcamp. Good night, everyone. Bye bye.